Hello, everybody. Welcome to take two. Massive internet outage, big technical problems, all fixed. The internet provider decided to make a network upgrade and making all modems redundant. Wonderful. In the middle of my stream. Anyhow, big shout out to the Patreon community as well. Got my little muggy. Love you guys. I've been peppered, pestered, harassed to do a should I buy on this name here. It's called Shadow. Sounds a bit shady. We'll dig into it. It's small, 100 million market cap or less. Some people call that a micro cap in the crypto space. Last one I did was Pyth, Pyth, and I'm not taking the Pyth when I say that. Only the Brits would understand what that means. And we're going to dig into another one, which is extremely popular with the community. And sometimes in the community now, we've got people that have spidey senses. But I'm going to detect, is it worth it? Or is it a turd? And I'm very good at detecting turds. And when I detect a turd and people are turd holders, they get very upset. Let's dig in. And this is, of course, edutainment, not financial advice. Doesn't mean buy or sell or short or whatever. I just give you the data. You make up your own mind like a grown up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You will never see token analysis like this anywhere on the planet, just here. And a big thank you to the team that make this possible. We worked all night last night. So here we are, my token valuation process. First of all, what it does, ranking, disruption, value props, what makes it special, tech and developers, tokenomics, ecosystem, growth and longevity, risks, and price prediction. At the very end, of course, the conclusion too, is it worth it or is it already too high? Let's see. So first of all, ShdwDrive. And remember, sometimes names come and go and they change over time. And we'll try cover all the different handles that this token has. Also, at the very end, I'll show you where it exists. Do not be fooled by fake tokens. Jupiter is not out yet, for example. There's a thing called baby Pyth. It's not Pyth. Be careful, okay? Scammers are everywhere and they want your tokens. But this one is called ShdwDrive originally from a company called Genesis Go. There's other terms you'll see today called Dagger, etc. It is a Solana-based blockchain and it is infrastructure. Infra is the cool word that the kids use. It started in 2020, launched May 2022, but really didn't IDO until early 2023. So it's a very new token. And it does RPC, that's remote procedure call. And that services everybody in the ecosystem. It also supports things like AI, smart contracts, rendering, you name it. It's decentralized storage in a nutshell. In addition, the team, there's about 10 people, and they are head down style developers, hardcore coders, and that's what you want. You don't want people who are marketing specialists. You want engineering genius. Frank Mathis is the CEO and co-founder who has a financial background and is vocal on social media, which is also good. It's good to know who is behind. You do not want to touch things that are led by anonymous players, and proof that our friend Frank is not anonymous. You can see him in public places as well. So we like that. And it's very important to know who is behind so you're not going to get rug pulled. In addition, what it does, quick explanation, it is a utility token that powers the DePIN ecosystem that provides decentralized storage. You pay with Shadow for this decentralized storage. We'll talk about payments and costs and how they benchmark against competitors, and we'll talk about competitors. Also, the compute, storage, and bandwidth are brought to the Shadow network by Shadow operators, who sounds like the CIA or something, who stake Shadow to secure their nodes and earn revenue based on contributions to the network. So it's a interesting play, but there's a few new unique things to it as well. Now, who do they target? The target industries: web hosting, social media, archives, data sets, even for scientific and historical research, AI applications, model storage, and AI needs a ton of storage. And we know, just to remind everybody, the AI capabilities today will be 1600x what they are today in 2025. So last night I did an emergency broadcast regarding an Optimus bot. That thing is already amazing. It's better than me at handling eggs, and I've got no feelings in my left hand. Okay? This robot's already superior to me. It's going to be 1600 times better. In 2 years, it's unthinkable. So just remember, getting in early, getting in hard to these spaces could be life-changing. Now, it also has personal and editable storage space and a specialized distributed ledger where you can track implementations and such. Now, value prop, what makes it special is it's designed for sustainability and security. Very, very important. And at the heart, it aims to support assessing, utilizing, and securing ShdwDrive operations. They are very focused on transparency and accountability, and users have absolute control over all of their content and data, which is also very important. Now, why is it better? The $1,000,000 question. Hence, we've got a little diamond up in the top right corner. Other decentralized storage providers require multiple layers in order to make their solution viable. For example, Arweave does storage, but to scale it up, you need to use Bundler, for example. And this kind of gets a little bit out of my depth, but in any kind of useful way, you need to subscribe to a front-end UI for basic high-speed CDN functionality. But ShdwDrive has everything in one platform. Not only that, it's easier to manage, it's less expensive, and it's faster than the other competing solutions. Better, cheaper, faster. Sound familiar, anybody? You've heard me talk about that since 2021. Now let's talk about cheaper. And cheaper is not necessarily better, but of course it does matter. ShdwDrive's storage costs are estimated to be about $0.009 for every 0.02 or $0.009 to $0.02 per gigabyte, or 10 to 23 bucks per terabyte. And that's payable in Shadow tokens. Of course, as the value of Shadow tokens goes up, this cost could actually go down too. And also, over half of these costs are allocated to Shadow operators who maintain the network, all the servers, all the hardware to store all the stuff. In addition, Filecoin, just as a comparison, their rates start at 0.03 cents per gigabyte, which is 30 bucks per terabyte versus 10. So it's a third of the price of Filecoin and Arweave. Arweave offers a one-time upfront payment model for data storage. It costs approximately $8,200 per terabyte, but you get something like 100 years of storage for that, but you got to pay for it up front. That sounds weird. Weird. So benchmarking against the two biggies, which I'm focusing on as Filecoin and Arweave, it's already better out of the gate. Let's look a little bit deeper into the technology. A very, very high level thing. Users interact with ShdwDrive by uploading files. You're the user in the top left corner there in green. You pay a storage fee, and user requests are handled through this interface. And then metadata nodes manage user data by sharding, which breaks into smaller pieces. And the auditor nodes perform data audits and validate storage through mathematical proofs. And users can use Shadow tokens on the open market via smart contract, which are then used for storage fees and are circulated to the network. And the wheeled nodes are involved in peer-to-peer network activities, and an emissions pool is present for shadow mining rewards, suggesting a very good incentive structure for this particular currency. So it looks real simple in a chart, and sometimes the best things in life are simple in their elegance, and that's exactly what this is. In addition, they have a roadmap. We are now looking at ShdwDrive's version 2 implementation. They call it Dagger. It's kind of funny because when I think about dagger, it sounds like a dagger through the heart of the competition. Maybe that's why they called it that. But no, it is actually an acronym for a DAG, which is a decentralized autonomous graph. And the two GERs, the last ones, I don't remember what they are. Sorry about that. But Google it yourselves. And this will result in a permissionless, trustless, and decentralized distributed storage network driven by community participation. And this makes embedding really easy. Also, what's cool is the SDK support JavaScript, Rust, and Python, all on top of a very reliable API. So technology top-notch and modern. Modern tech is so much better than stuff from 3 years ago or 5 years ago or 7 years ago. Remember that as well. In addition, some timeline here. We'll go through the history of IFPS and Filecoin, Arweave, and Shadow. But we believe Shadow is the best, the most modern, and it has learned from lessons from previous projects to ensure it will be a leader in the space it already is from a technology perspective, not from an adoption perspective yet. And this also continuous innovation will be represented in ShdwDrive version 2. And they've already completed phase 1 tests, and phase 2 tests are going to begin in Q1 2024. So lots of progress happening there too. In addition, the ShdwDrive IDO, this is a cool thing because there's no VCs, no venture capitalists involved in ShdwDrive. They had a very fair IDO project as well, launch, which is very favorable. And the IDO utilized the same program like Aurora and Mango markets as well. And a substantial token allocation was given out, about 15%, indicating the confidence in the market's ability to absorb this level of offering. And they used battle tested smart contracts to make sure it was all fair and fine. And one of the reasons that's very interesting is the team had extreme confidence in their network, and their decision to use their own RPC provider on Solana to power the IDO reflects the strong confidence in their network's capability and stability, which is meant to reassure potential participants in the solidity of their infrastructure. Really cool stuff. Another reason I like it. But there's more. Tokenomics also are very, very good. Shout out to H1 Life Investments. Um, they He had a very nice little graphic here of the NFT holders, who some of them are the original founders as well, but others were distributed out there. And you can see there's about 200 million tokens total supply. Strategic reserve is 10%, IDO pool is 15%, shadow operators get 10%, bonus emissions for long-term holders 15%, and the NFT holders again are far and wide between. And we'll talk about some of the wallets in a second too. The other thing that I do like about it too is literally, even though it's a new token, the IDO was just this year, you can see here very much is already in circulation, 156.5 million. Total supply 169 million, up to a complete max of 200 million. So you can look at some tokens, especially all the gaming money grabs. You can even look at Filecoin. We'll show you exactly how much of Filecoin is being issued right now and how much more is to be issued. This is another good score, considering it's so new as well. There are a couple of other things that do have a little bit of concern for us when analyzing SolScan. Anybody can go there themselves and check out the addresses. You can see the number one address with about 7% of ShdwDrive is a whale, and it's also marked as an FTX wallet. So FTX owns a little piece of this. But we've seen before all year, ever since November 2022, people have been crying out about the fact, oh, FTX, they're going to dump their tokens, they're going to dump their Solana. What has Solana done? Just gone up like this. Best performing token of the year in the top 50 as well. So don't sweat that too much. In addition, when we look at the token holding distribution, it's a bit of an eye chart here, but the easy takeaway from it is only 4,500 holders have more than $1,000 worth of the actual token. So it is widely distributed. You can go to many tokens and you can see that the top 100 wallets own 96%. And I can tell you there are hundreds of those things. That's not a good thing. This thing is far better distributed. In addition, it's being adopted. The ShdwDrive adoption, as you can see here, it's gone from 70,000 holders to 97,000. And probably after this video, it might be a little bit higher, but you can check that as well on Dune. Just search SHDW on Dune and you can get all this data for yourself. In addition, the whale concentration is very decent. For a new project, for the top 100 holders, only to have 56% is stunning. As I said, there are many crap tokens out there that still have 95% of the top 100 wallets, even after years and years and years and years of rating those tokens down on retail. This is extremely fair and unbelievable for such a new project as well. Now, let's talk about some of the risks. Very important to cover the risks too. You can see here, the biggest competition comes from the storage infrastructure incumbents like IFPS, that's Interplanetary File System. That's a peer-to-peer distributed file system that aims to connect all computing devices with the same system of files. And it's a decentralized version of HTTP that's out there. Then there's Filecoin, another decentralized storage network that turns cloud storage into an algorithmic market. And it's also been around for a long time. Then you have Arweave. It's a newer type of storage that backs data with sustainable and perpetual endowments, allowing users and developers to store data forever. That's why you have to buy, I can't remember if it's 100 years or 200 years up front, which is kind of weird. Anyway, however, you can see here the ShdwDrive technology is faster, and cheaper, which I've proven so far. Now, let's look at some more detail on the actual competitors. I'm going to pull out some decent stats from here. This is from the Crypto Compendium. You can see here all of the incumbents have higher market caps, with the exception of one called Bluezell that has approximately an equivalent market cap. But let's dig into other stuff as well. Now, excuse me, I'll drop links for these two as well. These are the two I'm really concerned about is, of course, Filecoin, and you have another one too, Tendermint. They have their own solution. So the question is, how does ShdwDrive compare to these two competitors and other ones too, like Arweave? And you could check the links down below after if you want to read that for yourself. Very extensive papers, very difficult to read, but too much detail. The point is, dagger is a dagger in these cases. The other thing I want to point out too is Filecoin and the relative size of Filecoin. Now, one of the things I like to do is look at relative market caps. If you have something that has similar adoption or an adoption trajectory that could match an incumbent, what would happen if the market cap was the same? Let's have a look. So, if, again, if Shadow had the same market cap, that is the circulating market cap as Filecoin, that would give us a 15.99x from here. I'm going to round that up to 16x if that's the case. Now, on a fully diluted market cap basis, Filecoin is 51.86 the times of Shadow. And you can see this here in the detail. If you look at, zoom in there, you can see the market cap is 2.159 billion for Filecoin, but the fully diluted is 8.8 billion. That's 4.009 times the actual existing market cap. So these are important things you need to look at to get a feel for where things could go. And again, the fully diluted market cap for Filecoin is pretty scary. Let's look at a couple of charts real fast. This is the shadow chart. You can see it's been up and down over the last couple of months. It's off the all-time highs, which is good. The other chart that I like to look at, which is almost identical, this is the actual pair chart with Shadow divided by Solana. You can see these two move almost identically, but they do vary from each other. And again, the smaller assets tend to move faster when they're on a roll, but they also tend to fall faster. So beware out there. These things can be extremely volatile. So price prediction time. If a whole bunch of assumptions are in here, what I did was super simple model to kick it out to you so you can make your own decisions as to how big this thing could be. So, not giving time frames here, this model is based on relative market caps, the number of file tokens versus the number of shadow tokens, the market cap of Filecoin today, and I calculated the price targets for Shadow. If Shadow was to hit 10% of Filecoin's market cap, that would take it to $1.38. Is 10% of Filecoin's market cap easy, possible, achievable? Absolutely, and a lot further. So I also punched in 20%, 30%, 40%, and 50%. That would take us to 276, $4, $5.50, and basically $7. If you imagine this newer technology that's better, cheaper, and faster, ultimately has the same market cap of Filecoin, you could be talking about a $14 token here. Now, when you look at the ROIs, they get a bit crazy. So a $1,400 token would be a 1,700% ROI or a 17 bagger, which is extremely nice. 18 bagger, actually. But we don't know where it's going to go. Now, but the other thing to consider as well, if you imagine the total crypto market cap going up a lot of people are talking about 3, 5, 10 trillion dollars, that will make Filecoin a lot bigger, and thus it'll make this a lot bigger too. Well, this is why I'm kind of excited about this one. I think it's quite reasonable. Now, where to buy? A lot of people will ask, but it's not available on Coinbase or Binance or whatever. Yes, these little microcap stocks are extremely hard to find. You have to go to Radium or Orca or CoinEx or Jupiter, and then you can find them. In fact, in full disclosure, I do own a little shadow. Did I say Filecoin? A little shadow, but I swap it on Jupiter. I take Sol or USDC and swap it there. with limit orders as well. Always watch your limit orders. If you just go in willy-nilly and say swap this, that can be dangerous. Sometimes your fills can be bad. So that's where you get it now. As it grows bigger, it might be listed in some of the other exchanges out there. So quick conclusion, what do we think? Is it a turd or is it good? Well, from this analysis, Shadow is better, cheaper, faster than the competition. It will benefit from the Solana ecosystem growth. Everything will become, as I call, the black hole. Shadow is critical to DeFi, smart contracts, and the AI space. As that space grows, so will the demand for storage. We saw Arweave blow up the last bull run because of this exact reason. Now there's a new player in town. Their tech is modern, scalable, and leverages Solana. Their chain is super fast. Their tokenomics are solid, very solid for such a new token. And price predictions, I believe, are very conservative, highlighting a lot of upside. And again, as the Solana ecosystems grow, so will all these players. So I'm working very hard in identifying the things that it'll pull along with it as it takes over the world. It's still only 10% of ETH's market cap, which is stunning, and it does more than ETH. And we're beginning to see a lot of flippenings happen as well. So in conclusion, I believe it is the fastest horse in this space, but it's still very cheap, which is awesome. So hope you like the show. Sorry for being a bit delayed. Thank you to everybody on Patreon. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Special one tomorrow. Speaking of Solana, I have one of the OGs of the Solana ecosystem on the channel, a guy called Mert. Him and I are going to thrash out everything about Solana, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and identify how far it can go. So super honored to have him tomorrow. Thank you as well to 2,600 people watching live. Hope you like the show. I should check the price of Shadow. Oh my god, it went up 2 cents. That's a big deal. I hope it wasn't because of this video though as well. Anyway, thank you all for being here. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.